So Benjamin, are you glad I made you get a dog? Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're here, it's because you've never owned a dog and you would like to own one, or you really don't want to own one and someone else wants you to own a dog. So we're going to see if this video can enlighten you a little bit on what you're missing out on, both the good and the bad. This is my husband, Ben. I think some of you have seen him in like the soft launch of him on my channel, but this is the official launch. And Ben was a first-time dog owner. This is Pistachio. She is our dog. So Benjamin, what made you decide to get a dog?
Well, I would say it was not too much of a decision that I consciously made when we were dating and we're thinking about getting married. This was a discussion that we had to have, that it was very important to you that you get a dog at some point in life. So I was ready for it. And so in order to want to marry you, it was important that we got a dog. That was something that I never really thought I would have a dog. Like going through life, I didn't really have dogs or pets much in life. So I never really thought that I would be getting a dog. But then I was able to meet your family's dog, Benny. He's a small dog. He's a Havanese, of course. So he was a little smaller, a little more playful. Like when I would greet him or he would greet me, it wasn't like overwhelming.
Yeah, he didn't knock you down.
Right, didn't knock me down. The paws maybe on my legs a little bit or something, and that was fine. Much different than some of the larger dogs I interact with.
Because when you were growing up, you were around a lot more big, untrained dogs that would knock you over as a kid, which I think was a little traumatic. So we're going to fast forward a little bit. What's the best part about having a dog?
The best part about having a dog, I would say, is just the fun. I would say she's just fun. Like, we have a good time playing and throwing the ball around and having her run up to me when I get home. It's just fun. It just like brings a joy and a lightness to life that not everybody has naturally these days in life. There's a lot of stress in the world, and there's a lot of things going on in the world, but Pistachio is always there just to be fun and to just want to play, regardless of what's going on in our community or in the world.
Okay. First few months we had Pistachio, and for the record, we got Pistachio when she was like almost 3 months old, so very little. What was the hardest part those first few months?
I would say right off the bat, initially getting up in the middle of the night to take her outside to go to the bathroom. That was just a lot. We have a baby now, so we have been through this a few times. Right, we've done that twice now.
Yeah.
But doing it for the dog was the first experience that I've had really with that amount of intense overnight care type of thing. And so that was not very fun. Just like the constant attention that we had to have on her was a different part of life that we hadn't had to have before, that you had to think of another being in the house that wasn't one of us.
How are you sleeping now?
Sleeping great now. Besides the occasional wake up with the infant, but
dog sleeps through the night.
Dog sleeps
10 hours?
Many hours.
Yeah.
Well, we could put her to bed at 9 and she would stay in the crate till 9.
Till 9 the next morning. And Pistachio is 2 years old now, so a lot has changed.
Yes. It has become much less effort as time goes on, I would say. Like the most intense part was in the puppy stage, when we had to take care of a lot of her needs, and then it just got progressively better as we got better to take care of it. Specifically me, as I got better and knew the dog better, it gets better as we go. And now it's just like you have a normal fun dog.
Yeah, I definitely had to learn too. I mean, I think during that time too, those really hard few months, you're establishing shared language with the dog. So like you just have to learn your dog and how to communicate with them best. So those first few months are just challenging. What surprised you most your first year with Pistachio?
I think the adjustment to thinking about her was the biggest thing that I noticed in the first year. Of that we couldn't just leave the house for a full day, or that we couldn't just go on a vacation without thinking about it. So I think that was an adjustment of just having to think about the dog more. And we're like moderately active people, so we go to our family's house and we go on camping trips and vacations and various things, and so just having to think about the dog more to me was an adjustment. It's not bad, and it was fine, and it's all good. That was just an adjustment though of having to think about the dog. I would say another thing is just leaving things around the house and what you drop on the floor and what you can and can't leave out. Like a dog forces you to be a little bit more cleanly with with the things that you leave around the house.
Wait, okay, this is a fun question. What have you thought differently about leaving around the house since having a dog? What are the items?
Tissues you can't leave around, like underwear, anything with bodily fluids on it, or earwax, or like those things should be going in the garbage anyways. But like you can't be just slobby about things. You have to actually do things.
And definitely any open.
She's rolling in something.
Hey,
go to your bed.
Okay. And definitely any like open container of food.
Oh right, yeah. Any open container of food, or leaving food on the couch or whatever, even if you're coming back, like you just eliminate those things from the way that you do things. And like 2 years in now, those are fine. We don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about, because I'm just not going to put my bowl of whatever onto the couch where she can get it. You just don't do it. So you just adjust, and it's fine. So it's not a burden at all.
When did you feel yourself bonding with Pistachio?
When I came home, when she was starting to have a little bit more free range of the house, and she could run up to me at the door and lick my face after I got home from something. That was, I feel like, when we started bonding more, was when she started licking my face more. And that's just like a nice thing. It made me feel like I was a member of the pack, and that she was just trying to take care of me as a pack member.
When did you start feeling like you knew how to communicate with a dog?
When I started doing training on my own with Pistachio, that was really helpful to like me and her feeling like we had a good communication language. At the beginning, we did all the normal stuff, sit, stay, whatever. But when there was one afternoon where I was just like, I'm going to just teach her something new. And so I taught her up onto the couch so she can jump onto the couch, and then off to get off the couch. And then we just worked on go to your bed, go to your crate, go home, stay. Like we just worked on a bunch of different training. But it was specifically like when I taught her how to go up, I got her to go up and then learn up, and then she was able to do that. That's when I felt like, when I taught her a command myself, that was when I felt like we were really communicating.
Yeah, I remember that being a big deal. I'd been gone all that day, and I came home and she had a new command, and we use that command often. So bravo. What do we fight about most regarding the dog?
I'd say it's probably around me not thinking through everything properly, of things that could have been thought about in advance. Like there was one time where I think the dog had a baby sock or something in her mouth, and I kind of had her cornered, and she growled and didn't really like that much. And like I could have handled the situation better. And usually it's around things that I know that I haven't practiced a lot, that get us into bad situations with the dog, or that gets her into a situation that she has to lash out, or she gets a tissue or something, and just handling contraband. And your brain is much more trained and better to think about those things than mine. So we get into disagreements about those things.
Oh my gosh. I think also like that's just like a learning curve, right? So like I think what he's referring to is especially while we've been training with Pistachio, how to keep her from being reactive in reactivity prone situations, like when you're taking an item out of their mouth that they're not supposed to have. Like my brain has been around like 5 other dogs that we've had in my family now. So I know like they might growl or snap at you if you're taking something from them that they really want. And like your brain doesn't always go there because you're just like...
Right. Well, and also I just have thought about, well, I can just brute force it. Whatever. I'm not really that afraid instead of making it into a bit or something.
Or instead of making it into a training moment, your instinct was more to just, well, I'll just get what I need.
Right. I just need to just get what I need and move on. And that's not the best training technique, because then it's aggressive and you're fighting then with the dog instead of training the dog to drop the thing or whatever it is. So learning that, and so we've had disagreements over that.
Yeah, and you've gotten much better. You're very, very good now at communicating with Pistachio, and just like knowing the words and like the body language, I think was a learning adjustment for you of how to build trust with the dog and build shared communication with the dog. I remember something too you asked me to do early on when she was a puppy, was if you did something wrong and I was upset about it, you asked me to like tell you in advance how to do something, or like tell you why I was handling something a certain way with the dog, because you were just learning. And I would get frustrated because I'd expect him to like intuitively be able to figure out, well, of course, every time I give her this snack, I do it this way, but you weren't paying attention. Like,
yes, that is an important point to make, of like, you have a built-in dog intuition that you've built up for the last 25 years or whatever, however long you've had a dog in your house. And I've had 0 years of that.
Yeah.
And so going into joint dog ownership with that in mind, I think it's helpful to have grace for one another then you know that something is built up for you for 25 years. And I know that as well, of like, oh, well, she understands how to do this kind of naturally because you've seen so many dogs throughout the years and so many interactions with dogs. I just haven't had that.
Yeah. And I think what I've learned to do, because it could be really condescending, I think if I was always like, Benjamin, watch how I do this thing with the dog. So instead I just sometimes narrate things and you tell me if it's unnecessary. But like, I'll just be like, hey, Ben, like I've been having her wait before I go outside lately using this hand motion. And it's been working really well. Like I just kind of tell him like, this thing's been working well for me. And that way you can try it if you think it's been working well. What was the best thing that I did to make your transition into dog parenthood easier? Maybe we just answered that.
We talked about it quite a bit, I think, going into, as we were getting engaged and getting married. Like we talked about having a dog. We talked about how that would change life. We read a book. I think you got a book and I read a book, and that was very helpful to understand. Like
we read it together, like each separately, but like we talked about what we were reading and what we liked about that method for training and what we didn't like.
We read a book on Havanese, and then we read a book on training for puppies. And so we were able to just have those discussions in advance so that when we got the dog, it wasn't you got the dog and I just was being dragged along. Like, because we were having the discussions, because we were about to do this big thing, we were treating it like the big thing that it was, which was getting a dog and having that thing live with you for 10, 15 years.
Okay, so now 2 years into having a dog, because Pistachio is 2 years old, what is the hardest part now about having a dog?
I think it's just the logistical coordinating of what we're doing with the dog when we want to go do stuff, or like
vacation.
Yeah, vacation, or because we have 2 cars and now we have the baby, like we can always be going in separate directions. If you want to go do something over here and then I'm working, and then, well, who's taking care of the dog? Or, well, the dog can't be alone for too much longer, so then we just have to think about it, which is not really that bad of a thing, but it's just more than what life would be if it was just us, or even just us and the baby. You just have to think through things.
Yeah, I know tons of families that both work full-time out of the house, and they leave their dogs home for 8 hours or even 9 hours, and those dogs are fine.
Right.
But our situation has been, because we both worked from home for most of our time with the dog, she's not used to being left alone for a really long period of time. So generally like 5 hours, 6 hours is like her maximum. So it's just something that we think about a lot when one of us or both of us are leaving the house for a longer period of time, like trying to get back there within 5 or 6 hours. What's your favorite part of the day with Pistachio?
I like when I get home from work and she runs up to me and we have a nice greeting at the door. Another nice part of the day is when she wakes up in the morning and jumps onto the bed and licks our faces, or just says good morning and stretches and yawns. And it's just a really cute part of the day.
It's really cute.
She's gotten into the routine now of coming out of her crate in the morning and then jumping on the bed and just laying with whoever's in bed for a little bit, which is nice. Just to have a nice puppy with you. It's nice when she's cuddly. Anytime that she's cuddling is nice. Yeah.
Did having a dog prepare us for a baby?
Yes, absolutely. Having a dog allowed us to communicate better. Hands down, we couldn't just operate on our like kind of brainwave married person communication. I kind of know what each other are doing all the time. Like, we absolutely had to communicate better, which led us to have better conversations, better thinking about one another, I think, and led me to have more empathy for you and for the dog. And even on a very practical note of like practicing how to get up in the middle of the night to go take care of something that you love, was, if I can do that for a dog, I can do that for a baby.
Yeah.
You know, and you can, and we knew that we knew how to do that together, not like, oh, you're responsible for the dog or you're responsible for the baby and I'm just the helper. I'm really, we want to build a relationship that is built on mutuality, doing things together as one, not just one person and the other's a helper. And so we've tried to do that well, and I think it's gone well, and I think it's made our marriage and life stronger.
So, how can your partner talk to you constructively about getting a dog?
Number one, I would say, have the discussion about getting a dog before you make a big life decision together, like getting engaged or moving in together or getting married. Have the discussion up front. Don't just assume that everybody's going to be fine, or that, well, when we get married, then we'll get on the same page about this. Like, get on the same page before you make those big decisions. And then you'll feel much more confident going into whatever decision that you're making with each other, and you're kind of unified in that.
Yeah. And you won't have resentment too, which is nice. Because I feel like if I hadn't made it so clear that like I need to have a dog in this lifetime, and then you didn't want a dog once we were married, like
that would have been,
I would have missed out on that.
Yeah, that would have been a big point of resentment, I think, for you. That would have just been background resentment if I said no, 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 and then we still decided to get married. That would have been a point of tension that would have probably boiled up here and there, and come out of just like, well, you're not letting me get a dog, so you know, like, well,
or like I'm missing out on this thing that I always wanted.
And that's kind of the whole thing of like leading those discussions with vision and with your values of like, what could life look like if we had a dog? What could our life be like? Think about all the fun that we could have with a dog.
I think about all the fun, and also think about the downsides. Like, how are we going to do this with the jobs that we have? How are we going to do this with our goals for family life?
So discuss that vision together realistically, and don't sugarcoat it. Just like work through all of the things that you're going to need to have for a dog, and all the different things you're going to have to think about in life, and then make the decision after that. And don't just assume that you're going to arrive at a certain decision, because you might not arrive at that decision.
That's good. So Benjamin, are you glad I made you get a dog?
Yes, I am glad. I'm absolutely glad that you made me get a dog. It wasn't even you made me get a dog. I'm really glad that you wanted to have a dog your whole life, and that you brought me into this camp of like people that like dogs now. Because I never liked dogs, but I'm glad that I have a dog now, and she's my baby. Yeah. And she's made life better.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you liking dogs has made you even sexier, in my opinion. All right. Those are all of my questions, and I hope this video has given you like a realistic snapshot of what it can look like to go from 0 dog experience to a life that's pretty happy with a dog. And also like how we work through those conversations, because this is a really common thing of like one person in a relationship wanting this big life change. And I will tell you, a dog is a big life change. But I think it changed our lives for the better, and we're better for it. Our marriage is better for it. Like, everything's really good.
If I had one last thing to say, it would be, if you're thinking about getting a dog, it is a great thing to do if you're on the same page with the person that you're getting the dog with. If it's just you wanting to get a dog and you want to be a first-time dog owner, do it. Follow your heart with that. Like, follow what you think you want to do. If you want to get a dog and you've never had a dog before, do it. You'll figure it out. It'll be such a fun journey. If you're doing it with another person, get on the same page, communicate well, have a vision for your life that you can both buy into, and you will have a great time with your new dog.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll be back with more dog and Havanese related content. Whoa!